Pikmin 2 is a little controversial. Olimar has returned to the world of Pikmin with his co-worker Louie. The 3 original Pikmin are back, as well as 2 new colors. In the first Pikmin game, your goal is to control your army of Pikmin and use them to rebuild your spaceship before you run out of time and die on the planet. In Pikmin 2, your company has gone bankrupt, and you control your army to collect treasure to pay off the debt before the debt collectors catch your boss and kill him.
Huh?
So the main driving force of Pikmin, a real-time strategy game, has been completely removed in Pikmin 2. So what is Pikmin 2? Let's try to answer that question. We'll cover the game's intentions and compare it to the first game, like how the level design is the same as its prequel and how it's different, the design choices with the bosses, and what genre this game is. This is the Pikmin 2 analysis. Before we start, I just want to quickly acknowledge the improvements in Pikmin 2 controls. In terms of gameplay, Pikmin 2 is just a strict upgrade. The most scathing comment I've heard about Pikmin 1 was that it felt like an escort simulator. Now the Pikmin trip rate is extremely low. Their pathfinding is way better too. In the first game, Pikmin will take the straightest path to you. But here you can see them actually travel around this wall to get to you. In Pikmin 1, it's easy for them to get stuck around bridges. In 2, you can clearly see them compact to ensure ease of travel. Before, if you wanted a specific Pikmin, you had to either waddle through your army or dismiss them. Now you have this nifty swap mechanic. But absolutely the most important of all, the jingle when you press the C-stick is now longer. This is how you know they care. Louie's got his own jingle too. Man, I love this game. Also, they fixed the dynamic music in this game. In both Pikmin games, the music changes if you are near an enemy. Sometimes in Pikmin 1, the music changes for apparently no reason. In Pikmin 2, there's always an apparent reason when the music changes. There's also new music effects when Pikmin are doing other work, like carrying treasure and breaking down gates. Okay, let's actually get to the analysis now. We'll only look at a few of the beginning levels to begin our research. Let's start in the first area, the Valley of Repose. Just like the first game, the first day has no timer. Besides teaching the basic controls and growing more Pikmin, the game's primary goal is to show that there are Pikmin quantity requirements to proceed in the game, with these 2 paper bag obstacles, as well as the Duracell battery. You can only get up to 20 Pikmin on this day, so you can't get past the second bag. Getting the battery immediately transitions to the next day, and now more flowers have grown for more Pikmin, so you can move on to the next area. If you see my last video on Pikmin's level design, you'll notice a familiar setup. A Bulborb, a collectible port, and a Bramble Gate. This is a prime opportunity to save daylight time by breaking up your task force. After you've collected every port and break down the gate is when you encounter your first of many caves. Caves are basically dungeons with multiple levels. Most levels of caves are randomly generated, with some exceptions. They also don't have the timer HUD at the top. This first cave, the Emergence Cave, always has the same layout. In the second level is where you first encounter violet candy pop buds. And yet when they go in, they make the same screaming sound when they're getting eaten.
What if this really hurts? I didn't think of that. Exactly how painful are we
So this is how you discover purple Pikmin. They have 10 times the carrying strength and are required to carry this globe. Collecting this unlocks a new area on the map. After you take the geyser and leave the cave, you learn that you have infinite days to clear your debt. The ship also forcefully ends the day early, so you can go to the next area, which kinda makes the multitasking exercise from earlier kinda weird. You can kinda see the game having a bit of an identity crisis here. Day 3 takes place in the Awakening Wood. Literally in the intro cutscene and tutorial, you can see a giant strawberry in the background, incentivizing you to clear the path of Bulblax in the way. The ship teaches you how to call purple Pikmin out from it, so you're very likely to use them in these fights. Oh yeah, purple Pikmin don't have an onion. We'll come back to this later. This is most likely your first time using purple Pikmin in battle. And here you find out how busted these guys are. They home in on enemies, they have a ground pound that deals damage and can stun, and they deal 2 times as much damage as a red Pikmin, or 3 times any other color.
Thanks for the tip.
To the right of the base is this black bramble gate. Its main priority is to keep the player from ignoring the conspicuous berries. Collecting these berries unlocks the Ultra Spicy Spray, a temporary speed and power boost for your Pikmin. The gate also provides an opportunity to use this power-up in a safe environment, or an opportunity to multitask and get more sprays. Let's talk about obstacles in this game. There are a ton of different types of obstacles. In the first game, they exist to provide opportunities to save time. In Pikmin 2, they exist to ensure that you have been through certain caves or areas, so that you're properly equipped for the area ahead. This paper bag requires the weight of 200, and at this point you should at most have 190. So the only place left to go is the next cave. This cave, the Hole of Beasts, in addition to more treasure, has some more Violet Candy Pop Buds, giving you access past that paper bag from earlier. At the last level lies the first boss of the game, Empress Bulblax. Beating this boss rewards you with a treasure that doubles as an upgrade, the Treasure Seeker, which grows crazier the closer you are to treasure. Now you've transformed into those dudes who use metal detectors on the beach. Unlike the first cave, when you escape to the surface, the day doesn't end. In fact, time hasn't moved at all while you're underground. And this is what the game ultimately ends up being. You search for caves on the overworld, hunt for treasure on each floor, fight the boss at the bottom, and repeat until the debt of 10,000 Pokos has been repaid. Caves actually make up the majority of the game. There are only 26 treasures in the overworld, while there are 175 treasures in caves. Caves function as the primary gameplay and driving force behind Pikmin 2. Let's talk about stress for a second. Gaming stress is a necessary component to what makes games fun. If a game is too easy, it's not very fun. A game that can be challenging for the player is a game that can be fun. In the first Pikmin, the main stress is the limited amount of time you have to beat the game. That stress is removed in Pikmin 2, but is instead replaced by resource management. In Pikmin 1, it's not a huge deal if you lose your army. You can either call out more from the onion or grow some more, but you can't grow purple and white Pikmin conventionally since they don't have onions. This makes them a sacred resource you want to protect from harm.
Nope. Some of you may die, but it's a sacrifice I am willing to make.
But purple Pikmin are the best fighters, and white Pikmin deal tons of aftermath damage if they get eaten. The player has a high-risk, high-reward resource that they have to balance, and this brings a new form of stress and challenge. You want to keep purples for their carrying strength and battle prowess. White Pikmin are the only Pikmin that are poison immune, and can dig up treasure that is completely submerged in the ground. Do you fight with them or keep them safe? In caves, even the Pikmin with onions become more valuable, since you cannot access the onions below ground. There's always that fear of not having enough Pikmin to carry your treasure, or not having enough firepower to defeat the boss at the bottom. Your sprays are also limited in quantity, adding another resource to juggle. The game encourages careful and deliberate gameplay. So Pikmin 2 is a management game. When you're in a cave, your radar only shows areas you've been to, compared to the overworld, which has everything shown from the get-go. And when you traverse to another level, the map is again shrouded in mystery. Pikmin 2 is a dungeon crawler game. I want to talk about the bosses for a second. Pikmin 2 has boss after boss after boss. Many bosses from the first game make a return. The burrowing Snagrid is back, a terrifying creature. Now to make it even more scary, Nintendo decided to add a foot. Now we have the pileated Snagrid. And yes, it is actually kinda scary. Nintendo also answered the 100-year-old question. What if we gave a spider a gun?
Oh my god! Okay, it's happening! Stay calm! Wait! Calm down!
The final boss of the last game, Emperor Bulblax, also makes its return. It's just a bit weaker now.
Hooray!
Alright, so I heard complaints that they turned it into a joke, but there are good reasons why. For one, he's not the final boss of this game, so it makes sense to tune him down. It allows new bosses to take the spotlight. Additionally, it creates new challenges to fighting him, such as him being submerged in water and fighting multiple at once. Imagine in Pikmin 2 you had to fight him underwater. That would be crazy. But now that he's nerfed, these difficulty modifiers look pretty reasonable. What most of these bosses share is that they do not have a time limit, since they live in caves. So players have time to learn the attack patterns and weak points of the bosses without feeling pressured to rush. This works in tandem with the potential scarcity of Pikmin in caves.
Surprise, motherfucker!
Hello there.
Wait!
Hello there.
Can't see us if we don't move.
Hello there.
Pikmin 2 is a horror game. When you beat the first part of the game and collect 10,000 Pokos, the team gets to go home. Except Olimar accidentally leaves Louie behind. The new goal now is to rescue Louie and collect the rest of the treasure. The president joins the battle. He even has his own whistle and jingle. Pikmin fans just keep on winning. The post-game unlocks the fourth and last area, the Wistful Wild. Each of these areas represents one of the 4 seasons. And fans of the prequel would recognize that the Awakening Wood and Perplexing Pool are nearly identical to the Forest of Hope and Distant Spring, respectively. It's super cool to see how the passage of time has changed these lands, and it really helps give the impression that this is a real, active planet. Pikmin 2 is an adventure game. Fun fact, in Pikmin 1, the red Bulborb and its dwarf counterpart only appear in the Forest of Hope. That makes it fitting that the caves of the King and Queen Bulborbs reside in the Awakening Wood. The Wistful Wild is a combination of the Impact Site and the Final Trial. Exploring this area making this discovery was, for me, super fun. Your camp is where you vanquish the final boss in the first game. At the Final Trial's old base where the onions used to land now exist those berry plants. At the impact site's old base where the onions used to land lie plant creatures called Creeping Chrysanthemum, which Almo believes to share a similar heritage with Pikmin. Guess those circles are great for plant-like creatures. Kinda neat. The cave which harbors the final boss and Louie is in the exact same location where you find your first ship part. How cool is that? When you reach the bottom of this cave, you'll find Louie on top of some treasure. Turns out Louie is controlling the Titan Dweevil, and it's using the treasure as weapons, each one wielding one of the elements. Now that I think about it, this is an unfair fight.
Choose your dueling weapon.
I choose...
Once you rescued Louie from his sick revenge fantasy and have collected every treasure, you will have 100% cleared the game. Your reward? A sick cutscene, but also a fully completed Piclopedia and treasure hoard. Here you can view every enemy you've defeated and all the treasure you've collected. Cute detail, the environment the objects are in are based on where the ship is hovering over on the map screen. Olimar has written detailed information on them, and it's cool to read how the creatures on this planet behave like, well, real creatures. I love how there's lore behind the Titan Dweevil wielding weapons. The Dweevil species have always picked up objects for protection, so seeing a giant one pick them up is consistent with the behaviors. Pikmin 2 is a role-playing game. Also, after you save Louie, you get to read how he would cook every creature on the planet. Pikmin 2 is a cooking simulator. So what is Pikmin 2? It's a management game where you control and divide your resources. It's a dungeon crawler where you clear out rooms and progress through levels. It's an adventure game where you explore an ever-changing world and interact with its inhabitants. It's an RPG where you fight and defeat giant monsters, level up, and learn that these monsters are just vying for survival like everything else. It's a real-time strategy, because when I see a timer, I still panic and run, but that's just me. But most importantly, it's a brilliant, imaginative game that is chock full of content and action. If I had a top 10 tier list, Pikmin 2 would be there somewhere. It can't be directly compared to the first game, as they value entirely different concepts. Definitely play this game if you haven't, and play it again if you have. And subscribe if you enjoyed this, because I like making this type of junk. See you next time!